Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur. We're doing a quick little well, hopefully it will be quick. Sometimes when I do live streams and I do these updates, quick means 25 minutes. So, needless to say, we should not be dilly-dallying too much on a lot of side talk. We are most likely going to be talking about a story. This broke like 9 hours ago. Why haven't I been making videos today? Been dealing with stuff with my wife and, well, places that I am currently working at who, for some reason, think it's not a good idea to send people home to work, and also seem to think it's a good idea to cram a bunch of people into a room and work together during these troubled and unusual times. So, that's actually the joke for the beginning of the day. That there are still places in California that not only won't let you work from home, even though there's a lot of opportunity to do so, but will actually cram a bunch of employees into one room and have them all do their stuff. Like, I mean, that last video I did where I had that Foamy the Squirrel cartoon, where he's like, oh, humanity just uses some common sense, we'll all be fine, so I guess we're screwed. Yeah, that's what it means by this. But anyway, let's talk about, and this was actually not going to be the follow-up video. I actually filmed the follow-up video that's going to go up tomorrow, but I just noticed this. But the unthinkable has happened. Now, this is something that we've wanted for a long time. This has been brought up many, many times that Uber and Lyft should actually stop adding drivers. There's plenty of drivers out there. It's saturating the market. Granted, that's what Uber and Lyft want. Because as long as, I just hit the keyboard, as long as the market is saturated, guess what? They can keep the rates low. And as long as the market's saturated, even if they let you name your own rates, there will always be someone willing to work for pennies. By the way, even though we're not going to do a lot of chit chat, I want to acknowledge Alex, Dark Road Run, Lori, El Chapo. Is that? Yeah, El Chapo. And the 32 other people who are not talking, but hey, you're free to talk if you want. Well, I want to acknowledge all of you. So anyway, many of you have been saying, I really wish Uber and Lyft would stop bringing people onto the platform. And I agree, however, that's part of the strategy, because as long as the market is saturated with drivers, guess what? They don't have to pay you more. Well, the situation's dire. Now, I didn't report on this because I figured it wasn't enough of a news story, but Uber and Lyft revenue has plummeted by 50%. 50%. Their stocks, which I will do a separate video on, maybe a couple videos because the stock is really important right now, is less than $20 a share. It's going to be less than 15 in the morning by the time you see this, or the vast majority of you see this. So they are hurting. And now, with this Bloomberg article, which I've got here, so unfortunately, when I can't show it on the screen, I have to kind of read it in more detail, but you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, hey, just Medvedev, yeah, doing fine. It's going great. Well, there's a couple big developments. First of all, Uber is cutting spending. I suspect Lyft is too, by the way, and that's logical. But what's going to definitely catch people's attention with this article is that Lyft has officially ceased adding drivers in many cities. So you cannot sign up to drive for Lyft. Granted, this is definitely a a this is almost unfortunate, to be honest, because usually when people lose their jobs, they turn to Uber, Lyft, Postmates, DoorDash, whatever, to make a little extra money on the side. That's no longer safe. And anyone who's out there driving, you know my opinion, I feel you should stop. I think you're being extremely irresponsible at this point, maybe even a little selfish in some circumstances. Not all circumstances, but in all circumstances you are being dangerous. Well, Lyft is ceasing taking on new drivers, which is interesting because a lot of people probably won't work right now. So what's going on? According to Bloomberg, in a bid to prop up earnings for existing drivers as the C virus that we cannot actually name freezes normal activity, Lyft Incorporated said Wednesday it will stop adding new drivers to its platform in many cities. Now, here's what's interesting about this statement. They said it's a bid to prop up earnings for existing drivers. They rarely, hey Rick, I haven't seen you in a while. They rarely do anything for the drivers. They are doing this primarily because they have to. They have to do, like, the cities that they have chosen to cease letting drivers on are some of the worst outbreaks in the country, and that is why they are doing it. We're going to get to that in a moment, though. Uber said it slashed nearly all marketing campaigns designed to recruit drivers and is evaluating whether to follow Lyft in limiting the ability for workers to sign up. So it's kind of funny to see that even in a bad time like this, Lyft is still just a little less awful than Uber. Spending on Lyft and Uber has been falling across the US in the last couple weeks, mirroring slowdowns in other countries during the virus outbreak. Each company saw a decline of about 20% last week compared with the week before, according to Edison Trends, a research firm. The pause on new drivers for Lyft is going into effect immediately in, here's the areas, New York, San Francisco, Seattle, and other regions hit hardest by the C virus and will be extended to other areas as needed. And the thing about these areas, that these areas are pretty much on lockdown. San Francisco, where my brother lives, by the way, is in total lockdown. Can't leave the house except for the doctors and to go to the grocery store. So, New York, that's like on the verge of it. And Seattle, yeah, that's also on the verge of it. Well, thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, look, if this is a pandemic, right? I think if Uber and Lyft were to be truly responsible, they would cease signing up new drivers right now altogether, except to do Uber Eats, because I've actually loosened my stance a little bit. I think it's not entirely awful to do delivery services. However, you're still at a little bit of a risk. You're just not at nearly as much of a risk. However, there have been some protocols put in place where it's like, okay, you can do the curbside pickup, you can drop off the door without coming face to face with someone. So as long as you wear your mask and your gloves and have your disinfectant, maybe doing food delivery is not it is not a bad idea. It says New York's not on the verge of it. Oh yeah, it is. It is. They might not be saying it, but considering they have some of the most cases, they're on the verge of it. So how do you think this works? Like, they ramp things up the more cases we get. So until the cases start going down, things are going to be ramped up even more. And as the individual states get more and more cases, those states will soon be on total lockdown. That's not fear mongering. That's just how it's going to happen. Like that's what's going on. And yes, it is a great time to buy stocks. I actually bought $1,000 worth of Disney stock and got like 12 shares. Well, no, it wasn't 12. It was 11 actually. But you know what I'm saying. So anyway, on Tuesday, both Lyft and Uber suspended shared rides. We know that. Although both ride-hail companies have pledged to compensate drivers diagnosed with the C virus, that coverage won't supplement the earnings shortfall caused by the cratering demand from passengers. And also, I mean, Grant, I have mixed feelings about their little help with people who get sick. I'm glad that they're doing it. I'm glad that they're doing it because they don't have to do it. You are independent contractors, but it's also, they're not helping the situation by providing a way for people to make money. Like, and their platforms are almost designed to spread this around. So I think they're going to put it off. However, I truly believe we are going to get to a point where first, Uber and Lyft are going to announce that they're ceasing new driver signups all across the nation to help curb the pandemic. That's the first thing they're going to do. They're going to probably wait like a few more days, kind of see where the government is at that point. And if the government continues to escalate it, they will say, to do our part, we're shutting off the apps. And no one will be driving until this is over. So I think that day is coming sooner rather than later. They will put it off as long as they can, because for those of you who are watching the stock market and might happen to be, well, Disney fans, for example, you'll notice that Disney's playing a very precarious game right now, a very precarious game. They're saying like, okay, we're shutting down our theme parks, but Frozen 2 is coming out on Disney Plus early. It's like we're going to be closed longer than 2 weeks, but The Rise of Skywalker is now available digitally. We're going to be delaying Black Widow. However, look at how many more people sign up for Disney Plus. They are cycling out the bad news slowly but surely. Now, unfortunately, Uber and Lyft don't have a whole lot of assets. Uber has the rideshare, the food. They now have that temporary working app, which that was like the worst time in the world to launch that app. So they have a few things they can do. They can say, all right, the earnings are down, but hey, if you get sick, we're going to pay the drivers. And then it's going to be like, we're going to cease taking new drivers on. But hey, look, we can still do the food delivery and it's a lot safer. So they're going to be playing that, and that's for the stock market. Because if you just let all the bad news come out at once, guess what happens to the stock? It tanks. Now, again, I am going to do a separate video about the stock. But right now, Uber stock is at $14.82. Keep in mind, at the highest, it was at $46. Now, Lyft, if you bought Lyft on the IPO, you got totally screwed. It's at $16.05, which is granted a little bit higher than Uber. That said, when Lyft dropped on their IPO, these stocks cost $87 a share. So there you go. There you go. These companies are suffering. Interestingly, and the funny thing is, I just bought this stock because DoorDash sent me a settlement check, and I decided to buy a share of stock of Grubhub just to rub it in their face and put it on my Instagram account. Well, they're actually not doing too bad. They're at $35.85. Granted, they were at $40 a few days ago. However, and I'm going to like show this in a separate video, if you look at the last week, they have not been hurt nearly as much by this, which just goes to show how important the food delivery service is going to be to all these services. This is where Uber probably has the chance to survive this, whereas Lyft might not. Because Uber has a food delivery service, they can fall back on that. And a lot of people seem to be okay with having food delivered to their house as long as it's dropped off at the doorstep and not handed to them personally. And drivers are at a little less of a risk because there's a lot less interaction with people. But Lyft doesn't have that. So Lyft is going to be hurting a heck of a lot worse. You heard your worst enemy on YouTube. He's driving food delivery. Oh, well, you know, he's got to do what he's got to do to survive. We're all doing what we have to do to survive. Right now, I have no time for petty arguments. So if he has to do food delivery, best of luck to him. I hope he makes a lot of money doing it. But that said, and hey, you know what? Hey, look, he's probably reading the same articles I'm reading, and he's doing Lyft a lot more. So he sees the numbers. He knows that the market's shifting right now, so he's doing what he has to do to shift with that market. And now we're getting a little off topic, but because the bottom line was, well, you can't sign up for Uber and Lyft anymore. You just can't do it. So it's going to be interesting to see how bad this gets. Some people have been asking me, should you buy the Uber and Lyft stock? And you know what? I have predicted that it's going to go to zero. I didn't think this is what was going to bring it to zero, but I think it's going to go to zero at some point. But here's the thing: if it gets down to $5 or $4 or something like that, I don't know. $50. It's like it's no different than playing a game of craps. You never know. So quit with the drama. Hey, there's no drama here tonight. There's not. That was nothing but praise for him. So there you go. Anyway, oh, you're talking to Lowrider. I see. Okay, yeah. But anyway, so that's where I mean, the stocks are definitely hurting. Like when I come back to making some stock videos, which I'm working on, you're going to see how much money I've lost with just the little experiment that, yeah, I saw that, Alex. Misunderstanding, Ryan. I understand. So, but yeah, no drama here right now. But when I make the stock videos, I'm going to show you just how much, even in a little bit of time, with a little bit of money I've put in, how much I've lost on this market crash. That said, it is a good time to buy. It's like getting it's like a half off sale is going on. And some of these companies won't survive, and I'm going to make a video about which ones I think have the most likely chance of not surviving. Spoiler alert, at least one of the gig economy companies is on the list. But otherwise, this is a good time to buy. And we will make those videos. So anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. Though, thank you for watching. I definitely appreciate a lot of people tuned in live. We have to do more live streams. I mean, now that we're all stuck in the house, except for me, because I've got business partners who don't want me to work from home right now, well, we should be doing more live streams. So let's do that. So anyway, hey, any 64 people, if you happen to really like this video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. That is really appreciative. Like, I mean, shoot, we had almost enough viewers, where like if we got to like 100 likes, I could have like did that whole take the beating off. Remember those days? I remember those days. They were kind of ridiculous. We might have to do something else if it starts getting to that point again. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for taking this time to be with me. Obviously stay safe, stay barricaded, I gotta stop hitting this keyboard. Use Zoom, call people who you love. I mean, I'm starting to already feel the cabin fever right now, and I get to leave the house every day for the most part. So, anyway, there will be a new video at 9:30 a.m. We're not doing the premieres anymore, with the exception of a few exceptions, but there will be a new video at 9:30 p.m. It'll actually be a follow-up to the video that I did yesterday. A lot of people responded. Some people were very happy with that video. Some people were not so happy, and I'm going to address the people who weren't so happy about that video. So anyway, that's where we're going to end. Thumbs up that video, comment below, subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't, and flame responsibly. Have a good one.